Welcome to Chez Who for January 18th, 2024. I want to begin by shouting out all the folks who helped make this show possible. The most important being my wife, Andrea, who not only created this channel but uplifts me beyond what I think is possible. I love you. There's also Seiko Varner over at Positive Vibes Incorporated. His consulting and social media savvy, DJing experience, financial assistance is important to me and the Hampton Roads community. And I can't forget that he founded the community action team, the 757 BattleCATs. So hit up Positive Vibes DJS at gmail.com for his services. Charlie Roy over at Southern Volkswagen too. He's important. You can find a quality, competitively priced used car, which you'll enjoy for a long time. Hit up Southern Volkswagen in Chesapeake, speak with him, and secure your driving needs. Can't forget the great food and great service at Ellen's Home Style and Barbecue. There are two locations to choose from: Portsmouth Boulevard in Portsmouth and Indian River Road in Virginia Beach, right across from Regent University. All right, I want to begin with just the past wildcard weekend in the NFL. The Texans over the Browns. I'm not surprised that the Texans played well. C.J. Stroud has weapons, and D'Amico Ryans is a coaching star in the making. I was, of course, surprised that the Browns played that bad, because Joe Flacco greatly underperformed, and the Browns' defense seemingly vanished. Take a second and picture the situation with the Browns' quarterbacks, too. They are tied to Deshaun Watson for many years, at over $200 million in guaranteed money, and Flacco was the one to perform well enough to get them to the playoffs, and they kicked out Baker Mayfield in order to lock in Deshaun. And look what Baker is doing in Tampa, showing you just how fickle quarterback play can be in the NFL and why locking so much money into him, and to any quarterback for that matter, may not be paying off down the line. And of course, now we have the Chiefs over the Dolphins. I like Patrick Mahomes, so I like the victory for the Chiefs. However, Patrick has sort of fallen to the game management type of style as the flashy plays we were used to are diminishing, paired with a fantastic defense shutting down one of the most dynamic NFL offenses over in Miami. And I like Mike McDaniel. I like his youth and how his personality deals with his players and the media, but there's just more seriousness in Kansas City. I don't know if that bodes well against Buffalo this week, though. I will take a second to mock the Cowboys here. This is the third consecutive 12-5 season. They became the fool's gold Cowboys yet again. And I will note how Jimmy Johnson looked on Fox. He was so incredulous. And Cowboys have to feel that too with how Dak played and how the defense played. It will probably cost Mike McCarthy his coaching title, and maybe that's deserved. And if that is so, then we can take some power out of the phrase, he's a winner, because while McCarthy has a great winning percentage, he doesn't bring the seriousness in coaching in the bigger games. And the Packers look so much more energized, and they're a very youthful team. Jordan Love could be a top three NFC quarterback in the next few years, for all we know, based on how he has played in the past half season. And this is so great to hear, considering so many people were saying things like he was a bust and that he couldn't see the field out there. That's the same stuff they say about Justin Fields. So I say, good for Jordan Love. The Packers play the 49ers this upcoming weekend, and I don't think I'll easily call it for the 49ers. I'd like to assume that they'll win due to the home field and how they run their offensive pieces, and their defensive pieces. But Jordan Love can surprise us again, so I will go into that game not confident. And I could bet money on either team. And the Bills Steelers game was fun due to the changed dates, all the snow and the cold. And it was troubling to see a backup like Mason Rudolph play for Pittsburgh, and he was giving up on Kenny, which is play that's sort of deserved, I might imagine. But I don't like seeing a great back like Najee Harris and receiver like George Pickens play under their talent level, which seemingly they've done all year. Now, they need a better offensive philosophy. They're not doing their defense justice. And Buffalo is a better team in the second half of this year. So Josh Allen is creating too much offense seemingly through himself alone. I see more Superman than I see Clark Kent. And even though I like Mahomes better than Josh Allen, I just have a feeling I should expect the Bills to beat the Chiefs at home this weekend. The Chiefs have pulled it through in the playoffs against the Bills before, But the less powerful Chiefs offensive play this year is giving me pause about what to expect. And I am curious if the Philadelphia Eagles somehow forgot how to play football. And I wonder if Coach Sirianni blanked on competent play calling, like leaning into the run when your star wide receiver A.J. Brown is out, or if their defensive identity is blank and they have no idea how to play secondary defense. Yes, I like how they drafted so many front seven players from Georgia's national championship teams. I personally think a great offense or defense is built from talented play on the lines outwards. But it isn't working, and they make Baker Mayfield in Tampa play like he was Tom Brady in Tampa. Baker's performance may buy him several more years in the NFL, and he won't be considered a bust. He might be a solid NFL starter now if he keeps putting up great playoff numbers, but they play the Lions this upcoming weekend. And I like the spirit of those Detroit Lions. I like that they beat the Rams. I wish they could have signed Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson just for these playoffs. Dan Campbell is the ultimate players coach, and he has a talented team of young guys. It could be fitting together. I would actually suspect that they beat Tampa and make it to the NFC Championship. And in coaching circles, I'm glad the 757's own Gerard Mayo is the new head coach of the Patriots. I especially like his quote, "I do see color. If you don't see color, you can't see racism." And it's important to know what he means there. Also, I hope the Raiders sign Antonio Pierce to their permanent head coaching position, creating alongside D'Amico and Houston a core of young black linebacker coaches, which can really shake up this league. And as a Raiders fan, I just hope that they power up their offensive style. I will love either Chargers wide receiver coach Chris Beatty to be an offensive coordinator, or perhaps Cliff Kingsbury to be an offensive coordinator, because we can use some air raid for the Raiders. Now, to leave football, I like to bring back my responsibilities for the 757 BattleCATs, and I am a watchdog for the cities of Virginia Beach and Portsmouth. Both cities had big municipal elections coming up. In Portsmouth, incumbent Mayor Shannon Glover is facing a stiff challenge from incumbent City Councilwoman Lisa Lucas Burke. Both are popular politicians. Both are deep in the business interests of the city, and both have varying grassroots segments that can support them. They'll likely both be fighting over the key endorsements of slots like the Martin Luther King Jr. Committee here in Portsmouth, which could allow a third challenger to gain some momentum should they declare. There's also incumbent Portsmouth Councilman Dr. Mark Whitaker and DeAndre Barnes running as well. There will assuredly be more in the coming months to fight for the top three at-large votes for the city council positions. And in accordance to their scores with the BattleCATs, the 757 BattleCATs of the Community Action Team, remember, the Community Action Team has 10 segments that we measure for our report cards. So 0 out of 100 is the scale. And I'll point out, Mayor Glover has a score of 78.9%. Burke has a score of 81.7%. Barnes has a score of 68.3%. And Whitaker has a score of 59.8%. I wish improvement on those 2024 scores for those four incumbent politicians, and they need better work on improving the Black community in Portsmouth in order to do so. And the Virginia Beach mayor race, I find, is doubly fascinating because they have four big candidates. Mayor Bobby Dyer is a twice-elected incumbent. He's a big business Republican. John Moss is a multi-term at-large elected former councilman, and he's running for mayor. He's a libertarian Republican. Chris Taylor is a rookie councilman out of District 8. He's a dynamic and community advocating Republican. And there's Sabrina Wooten, a twice-elected councilwoman out of District 7. She's running for mayor as well, and she's a business-friendly Democrat. In the city of Virginia Beach, a municipality born out of white flight and a racially suspect at-large district hybrid voting system, there are four big-name people running for mayor. Two of them are black, and they're already on council. So far, I know I am leaning to either Sabrina or Chris. Unfortunately, if one or both fail to win mayor, both of their representation are lost from council because they have to resign in order to seriously run for the seat. And I just watched council the other night. Chris Taylor was actively taking to task the mayor, the city manager, and others in proper stewardship of city funding on various issues. He was vocal, and him being vocal and resolute is a talent that many others are seemingly too scared to possess from time to time. I just wish Chris didn't take his position on the Confederate representation at the Veterans Day parade the way he did. Regardless, it's fun to watch. In Virginia Beach District 1, there's new Councilman Chief David Hutchison, former fire chief in the city of Virginia Beach. He won a special election supported by the local Democrat committee and the 47% of the vote against two conservative Republicans. I honestly thought he and the party were sort of mailing it in due to the low public image and the low endorsements, avoiding things like the Hampton Roads Black Caucus Forum and joining Gladney and Napier and not responding to emails and messages folks like me sent out to them. But alas, Hutchison won. He'll have to run again for the seat in November as it's a special election. In Virginia Beach District 3 is Republican Michael Berlucci. He defeated me in 2019 and 2020 for the then Rose Hall district seat. He's very entrenched in business interests and big Republican Party interests too. He also seemingly swallowed up a Democrat endorsement in financing from folks even when I ran against him in 2020 as the Virginia Beach Democrat suggested candidate that I was. Current City Councilwoman Amelia Ross Hammond, a Democrat, donated money to him. Former school member Dan Edwards, who ran in the Democrat ballot with me, donated money to Berlucci in that same cycle. The Virginia Beach Education Association, who out and out supports collective bargaining rights, something I supported in the interview for them in 2020, they endorsed Berlucci. To cap it off, the heavily entrenched, well-financed Democrat Congresswoman Elaine Loria donated $7,500 to him in the election cycle that I ran against him as the Democrat candidate. There is a tremendous lack of discipline on the local party to support their own, considering a pledge I remember signing to support the Democrats. It was very disheartening. And I call on them to not do that this year, and that I hope that they run and support a great Democrat candidate against Michael Berlucci. I just don't know who that is at the moment. Virginia Beach District 5 is incumbent Rosemary Wilson, who is a big business and real estate-centric Republican. I don't know a challenger there. Virginia Beach District 7 is the fight to replace Sabrina Wooten, and her assistant, Mabinti Scott, is running. I may lean towards her, and I'll acknowledge Cass Jackson Green is running too. I'll look to reach out to both of them and bring them on Chasu so we can talk politics very soon. There's also Virginia Beach District 8 because Chris Taylor is leaving a seat to run for mayor. I have no idea who will run for that, but I do know in 2022, John Andrews lost that seat to Chris and raised $100,000 plus to do that. I suspect he could run again. He's Republican as well. Now, backing away from Virginia Beach, let's talk a little bit about the Iowa caucuses. And the Democrats tried to move it on to later in the cycle after South Carolina. In fact, they've changed their caucus to a vote by mail system that will run all the way through Super Tuesday on March 5th. That's falling with the Democrat primary, trying to ignore the fact that there even is a primary for them too, with Cenk Uygur, Dean Phillips, and Marianne Williamson running for the seat. Marianne is even as high in the polls as Nikki and DeSantis would be in a broader poll, and there's no media coverage at all for Marianne. The party even canceled 5 state primaries, which is very undemocratic for the Democrat Party. Meanwhile, the Republicans just had Iowa. Trump won huge, and DeSantis, to me at least, shockingly got second, as I thought he would get third. Vivek and Christie dropped out before and after the race. And if Christie meant business about running specifically to stop Trump, he would have decided to run in the general election as an independent like RFK Jr. has done. Vivek showed himself as the opportunistic individual that we thought he was, the guy who wanted a spot on cable television or a rousing internet show drummed up because he ran in the primary and made a name for himself. He was too sycophantic to trump anyway, so there's nothing lost by him not being in the primary. The news cycle focuses now on DeSantis and Haley going into New Hampshire. And don't forget how troubling each of them are as a separate candidate. Highlighted recently by the Breakfast Club, Haley and then DeSantis were asked if the U.S. was a racist country. Both led up by saying that it never was a racist country and glorified in how we self-improve from the bad and ugly of our past. And if any self-respecting journalist would have followed up with them on that, they would have asked what the bad and the ugly even was. It might lead them to the right conclusion that the U.S. is and was racist via legal structure and equal allotments of rights and capital. Charlemagne the God would point out that no U.S. politician can properly speak on race in this country, and he might have a point, because he also pointed out Tim Scott, Republican, Jim Clyburn, Democrat, and Kamala Harris, Democrat, also at some point suggested that the United States was never a racist country, but nonetheless had racial issues that were needed to fix. That both ways of the street sort of talk is annoying to me, especially in the case of Democrats like Clyburn, who pushed Biden to his primary victories, and Harris, who accurately pointed out Biden's segregationist appreciations of the past, both supporting Biden greatly and not even speaking out when Biden would say, if you can't agree to support him, and he was speaking to black civil rights leaders, then you're not black. Politicians could speak on race properly, they're just scared of alienating white votes, so they choose not to do it. And I know Trump is horrible. And I know that he has 91 criminal charges on him in 2024, but that might be the only thing that stops him from becoming president again. No, he won't get my vote, and there shouldn't be people of Democrat spirit who do support him, but realize just how bad the Democrat presidency has been in the past few years, full of promises as far back as the 2020 election cycle, in the 2021 Senate election cycle, and the failure of Biden to put forth needed expansions on healthcare, poverty reduction, elimination of student loan debt. The resulting flight of Democrats from Biden's support is well earned. It was a lack of Democrat discipline that did it. Too worried about the scary Republicans, they failed to do what they voted into office to actually do. And to that, a massively unpopular war machine that Biden and the Democrats are supporting in Ukraine, and especially in Israel and Gaza, where over 25,000 dead Palestinians are resulting from the military that we are supporting financially and arming. You see Muslim support of Biden failing fast. You see Hispanic support of Biden falling fast. You see Black support of Biden falling fast. And you see youth support of Biden falling fast. They're not necessarily going over to the GOP either. They're fleeing to indifference about voting at all or embracing independent voting. Rest assured, the Greens will turn out to vote for Joe Stein. The Libertarians will see a boost too. RFK Jr. will get a sizable portion of the popular vote, and Dr. Cornel West will energize many people to vote for him. Just look at his recent Washington speech about ceasefire in Gaza. I project a wild 2024 election cycle with larger than ever support for non-establishment parties, and I suspect that that will happen in congressional races too, all grabbing the votes of people of Democrat spirit who nonetheless know they're not served by voting to a party with no Democrat discipline. We'll see that in Virginia's 2nd Congressional District because I'll be the one doing it. And you heard it here. I'm getting signatures to be on the ballot for United States Congress repping Virginia's 2nd District. I'll provide a progressive voice that would have otherwise be drowned out by the big corporate parties. There won't be a major party candidate calling for a ceasefire in Gaza, ending hostilities in the region of Israel against Palestinians, and vice versa. I will be that voice calling for a just and peaceful solution for 2 independent states. Both parties locally will call for sky-high military budgets, allowing for offensive aggression worldwide by United States forces. So I will call for a check in the military-industrial complex. The establishment Republican will call for eliminating the Affordable Care Act and promoting market health care. The establishment dim will call for expanding the Affordable Care Act, which taxes you into oblivion when you use help on premiums. So I will call for the only right solution: universally applied and federally funded health insurance, Medicare for all. Neither establishment candidate will call for helping current and past university students, so I will call for free college and canceling student debt. I will call for eliminating the regressive cap on payroll taxes, and I will call for a more progressive income tax system. I'll call for expanding Social Security. I'll call for a living wage. I'll call for more housing supply and more federal housing assistance in order to eliminate homelessness. I'll call for top-down criminal justice reform, ending the drug war, greatly reducing the incarceration rates, which have been racially damaging for decades. I'll call for broad racial justice in both power structure reform and financial restitution for centuries of deliberate strife. I want humane immigration. I want climate change addressed broadly, and I want gun violence eliminated. And I will call for each of those things in a vacuum, knowing the establishment candidates in Virginia District 2 will fail to advocate for enough on any of them. Lastly, I will do so without big money politics. I'll scoff big business PACs and lobbying money. This is my desire. This is my goal. No more, no less. I'll need your support to do so, beginning by helping you sign your name to these ballot petitions if you live in Virginia's 2nd District, which is largely Chesapeake, Virginia Beach, and the Eastern Shore. Begin by liking and following Conrad for Facebook's page. Begin by liking this video you're watching and subscribing to this channel. Shares who. The more who do, the more who'll be able to see this message. Shares who need you, and I'll be here for you. I want your participation, and that is it for tonight, and I'll catch you next time.